Hey, welcome. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. It's a pristine voice. Good quality. It's
Uh,
good.
Okay, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. How are
Yeah,
you today?
I'm good. It's been a pretty busy day I had stuff to do in the morning, but yeah, I have still a pretty packed weekend for Sunday too. And then I have college on Monday, specifically 2 days for restrictions of COVID. But yeah, it's been a good week so far, and it's been a great day. How about you? I know it's just the beginning of Saturday for you.
Oh, I was curious. Is it like the middle of the day for you, or is it towards the end of the day for Saturday for where you
7
are?
7:42 in the evening, to be precise.
Oh, that's really cool. Wow, we're at such different times. That's amazing. Right now, it's 9:12 a.m. for me. So yeah, it's you mentioned the morning. I think waking up at 9 o'clock or like 8:30 is like perfect for me. Because it gives you basically waking up early enough to be able to do what you need to do. Because
Yeah,
sometimes I would sleep in until 12 and that would be a bad thing.
I have a friend. I mean, he wakes up for lunch and then he goes back to sleep for a nap, what he calls afternoon nap, and then he wakes up in the evening.
I can see people doing that if they don't have anything to do that day, like if it's their free day.
I know. I usually wake up from. It depends. It's pretty much 7 or 7:30. Sometimes it could be 7:45 or like 6:30 or early. But yeah, it's just that. Also because I sleep pretty early, like 10:30, 11. It's definitely sleep early.
Oh wow, that sounds very responsible. I usually do not go to sleep by 10, but that is a very good idea. For me, it's usually anywhere from 11 to 12. But obviously, I think sleeping at 10 is like a lot more responsible. And I think the times that you wake up, those are considered pretty early too. So that's very impressive.
Yeah.
I
Because
haven't gotten to, but it is still good. Like that's very good actually.
yeah, pretty much I think it gives me time because I usually when it's night, I know a lot of my friends and I know you too, and even in Choicest fandom, I have seen a lot of people. They're just night owls. They can wake up until night, play games and stuff. But even my friends study at night. I have tried that, but after when the clock passed 11, 12, now I'm just like, okay, I need to sleep. Even before exams, I couldn't just read at night, study at nights, and I'll just sleep early, wake up maybe at 4, 5, or 6, then I'll study. So morning just works for me, but night it's just like I gotta sleep now. If like yeah, something amazing is happening, like I'm watching a sports or something, or I'm somewhere, then I don't get sleepy. But if I'm all by myself, like I just gotta sleep then.
Yeah, I know what you mean exactly. It has to do with like if you function better in the day or
Yeah.
towards the night. And I think a lot of people in the fandom who I speak with are night owls. I consider myself to be a night owl too. I don't know why, but there's just something about the nighttime. I kind of just like it a little better. But anyway, as I am getting older, I do have to stop sleeping too late anyway. So I am definitely going to be leaning towards, sleeping at a normal time, like maybe I think
Ah,
11's okay, but
yeah,
it's
it's yeah. Yeah, you need to change your sleeping habits after like 40 or 50 years of age. So yeah, you still have a lot of time to go, I guess.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I actually do have a lot of time because I am in my 20s, but it's just for me. Um, I know what you mean exactly. Like sometimes me and my friends in the fandom will be up like at 2 a.m. on some days, not every day, but on some days. And for me, I'm okay with that. But in the future, I definitely don't want to do that again because because it does take away time from your day when you wake up later. So yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know. And also for me personally, like past few, like I think like a good sleep also, like when I wake up in the morning, it helps me a lot through the day if I'm sleeping well at night. So yeah, it's good, but it depends. Like you said, different people like to sleep at different times. There's some people that they don't sleep much at night, but they take a good nap in the afternoon. Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone does something that they have to do to get through the day, and for me, I love naps so much. So that works a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I said, yeah, I know it's fun pretty much. Yep. So, how was last week in choices? I know with your channel that was a big bummer. 'Cause I think I went on there to search the Queen Bee, but then you told me I knew about that, but I didn't know they had the restrictions like you can't post until a certain time period. So I went for Wolf Pride and that Wake the Dead video, but I didn't see anything. It was just the unexpected areas of last week, and then it told me that was a
I was very, very surprised. I think it's a weird situation. I have not run into this problem before. So this week, because I wasn't able to upload like normal, I did my best to sign up on other websites to create channels there, so that the Choices fans have multiple places to go to view my videos. So what happened was YouTube is not really a fan of certain Choices series, and I got an email about it that this video was removed for the sex and nudity policy, and I thought that was strange. I don't think of Choices books as something that's explicit or inappropriate or harmful. So I'm very surprised at that. And in the past, earlier this year, there were several Choices YouTubers who got their channels completely removed because of the nanny affair. It's been a problem. Like a lot of channels got in trouble for the nanny affair. So I used to actually have that on my channel, but I actually removed it because I didn't want to take the risk. So at that point, I thought I was doing well and that I was protecting the channel as much as I could so that everyone can still see the new uploads. But apparently, there are more series that YouTube is offended by. So, so it's not just Nanny Affair. If I was to upload Surrender, they would probably be offended by that too. So I don't think I'm going to be doing that, but that I have actually uploaded. I've uploaded Surrender online, but it's just going to be on different websites.
yeah,
And then, unfortunately, there was a Queen Bee video that was removed.
I was
The
gonna,
chapter 9.
yeah.
Yeah, I know it was very weird. That was the one that basically got me in trouble. So after I got that email, it was right on Monday this week. After I got that, it said that I wouldn't be able to upload for a week. So now the week is almost done. So everything should be going back to normal on Monday, and I'm very excited for that because I really, really did enjoy uploading for everyone. It wasn't just for me to see the videos later on when I was in the mood. It was because a lot of Choices fans do like to actually go back to the chapters to see everything and just to
100%.
replay it. Yeah, and this week, something that really surprised me is I had a really, really friendly viewer. She reached out to me on Instagram. So, it was important for me to put my contact details on the channel because there were several Choices fans who did contact me, and they mentioned that they really looked forward to watching my videos and they were wondering what was going on, and they even gave me words of encouragement, and it made me very happy. I just thought that was really, really sweet, and it made me realize that it's not just me who's looking at these videos, that it's a lot of other people as well, and that a lot of them are also looking forward to the new chapters every single week. So I'm very, very glad that the restrictions almost done so that I could go back to normal next week. But it just gave me a new perspective. And because I got that email, I'm the type of person who will see that email and panic. So the best thing I could think of doing is covering myself. So by making channels on other websites. I actually have an account on dailymotion.com and on minds.com, and I upload some new videos also on Instagram. So that's what I've been doing this week to still make sure that the content is out there. And I think this is the best thing you can do if you're not really sure what YouTube is going to do with what you upload, because it is very surprising at times what will offend YouTube, considering these are just, book visual novel chapters. It was surprising to me because I don't view the choices material as harmful. I do believe that there's other content on YouTube that does have a harmful purpose, and choices walkthroughs do not. So to me, I don't understand the decision, but I've decided that I'm going to take away the risky series from my channel, and like I already have anyway, and that will be going on other websites so that the choices fans can still access them anyway. So I'm just going to be doing my best to work around the restrictions that I got, and I don't feel bad about it anymore, because after I made the other accounts and the other channels, I spent the week, and obviously other than my job, after I was free for the day, I spent that time going to these websites, signing up, getting everything set up, and I uploaded a bunch of videos. I don't have all of my videos on the other channels, but I have the new ones, the ones that have just been released this week. So that was something that actually kind of enjoyed doing anyway. Like, I thought it was fun to get everything set up because now I have other spaces online where the choices fans can go to actually see the videos. So I feel like I turned around the situation very well, because at first I was sad and I was pretty shocked, but I don't feel that bad anymore about it. I'm ready, and at least now I know what to do for Monday to prevent myself from having that issue.
Yeah. So first of all, I mean, it's really courageous what you have done, because if I were in your shoes, it would have been pretty tough for me to even thinking of making a comeback or having a positive attitude about it. But I just like how you're handling the situation. I don't think a lot of people would be handling this way, but kudos to you for that. And I'm glad people who are watching this, they're reaching out and giving you word of encouragement. I think that's needed, specifically when something like this happens, a hitback happens. So I'm really glad. And yep, never doubt that. And it's not just you who is watching your videos that you upload, the playthroughs on YouTube. Like I said, a lot of people enjoy those, and for some, it's just the only way of getting their type of playthrough on there, and also your unique play style. So definitely a lot of us were bummed about that, like why wasn't there upload. But I hope come Monday, things are gonna get back to normal. The unexpected areas, there's probably nothing going to be there. Wake the Dead, so that's the main series. I think that's really important from now, since Queen Bee's out. So at least on YouTube, I wish you all the best on YouTube and on the other platforms. But I'm glad you didn't let this be a stop, but being productive. So you were productive. So that's really good that you didn't let the situation dominate you. So I'm really grateful for that. And we can all learn from that. If you hit a obstacle, setback, then you just you start again. That's just good. Kudos to you.
Thank you. I remember when I was telling you about the situation, probably like maybe 1 or 2 days ago, you also you said kudos to me for how I reacted, and I really do appreciate even the words that you gave me, because in the past I probably also would have been pretty upset, but over the years I've changed my mindset, and I don't let things impact me as much anymore. So I tried my best just to remain positive, because I know that it's not just me who's affected. Especially after I got those messages, I realized that there were a lot of other fans that were also waiting for it. So I thought, I have to be strong for myself, and I have to be strong for them, because I don't want to give up. So that was why I created the other pages, so that I can still give them the content in the meantime. And I think because I did all of that together, it made me feel a lot better anyway. On Monday, obviously I was bummed, but later on in the day on Monday, I picked myself up pretty quickly, because I thought of what I did after that was I just thought of different websites that I was going to go to upload, and it cheered me up right away, because it told me to myself that I don't really have a restriction actually. Like I can still do things that I need to do and get the videos out. It just means it wouldn't be on YouTube for a week. So that all of that stuff together has helped me a lot. I even was chatting with another Choices YouTuber. She had an issue with the same Queen Bee chapter for book two. So basically, we're talking about Queen Bee book two, chapter 9, which I do not really think is a problematic chapter. Again, and we both chatted about it. We got in trouble for it, and I told her I wanted to offer all my support that I can. And then, everything turned out well in the end anyway. There's nothing serious going on with the channel, so next week should be fine.
Definitely. Can't wait to see you back on YouTube. But also, I'm glad, like I said, you turned it into a positive thing since you are now going to explore like the minds.com and also Daily Motion. So probably that wouldn't have happened without this. So I'm glad you took this opportunity to expand your channel and expand your playthroughs in other platforms. I hope to see more playthroughs there since no restriction is going to be available on those platforms like on YouTube.
Yes, exactly. Because Daily Motion doesn't have as many restrictions as YouTube does. I think that what the problem with YouTube is they're just viewing a lot of Choices material as dangerous when it's otherwise not really that dangerous, because there are other videos with worse content that are currently on YouTube. So YouTube is having an issue with some Choices series right now, and it seems like it's starting this year, because there were actual several channels that I liked and that I was watching uh, over the summer too, and those pretty much just disappeared. And I found out that it was because of the nanny affair. And there was also three other channels that also got hit with a warning because of that as well. But now it's not even just the nanny affair. Apparently, it's Queen Bee Book 2 that also offends YouTube. So I'm wondering what's going on, if this is something that is automatically being detected by YouTube, or if they have an algorithm, or if it's their own system that's checking the videos, or if it's someone who's manually reporting. I'm not really sure, but it does seem to be limited to certain series. So at least I know how to prevent that from happening again. But to me, it's a mystery, and I'm wondering what factors could be part of it. But at least, I was able to pick myself up, and I don't feel bad about it anymore. So at least there's that.
Yep. Like I said, I hope it gets back to normal. And yeah, there's no doubt that there's far more nudity on other videos on YouTube. I'm talking about ELI. These are just fictional characters, and it's just not even nudity. There's like real, actual nudity out there, or even worse contents. Like sedition to conspiracies to far worse things are out there that can affect someone. But oh well, it is what it is. You can't do much about it. But I'm just glad how you particularly handle this particular situation. Yeah, I can't wait to see you upload again on Monday and what you put out on Daily Motion and on minds.com.
Yeah, thank you. So it's taking me a little bit of time to get used to minds.com and Dailymotion. So previously, I actually wasn't even uploading any videos to Instagram, but I started this week uploading full chapters just because it's easier to access, and because you could watch like the whole like a whole channel in one video, instead of me having to break it into part 1 or 2 and part 3. But for the other websites, sometimes I do have to end up breaking the chapter into one part, not into one part, I mean into 2 parts or 3. I'm going to be trying to minimize that as much as possible and trying to keep all of them in one video only, just because it's easier and better for the Choices fan to see that instead of having to click on 2 other videos to watch the rest of the chapter. So with Dailymotion, first, I'm not really sure why, but it seems that the personal channels are by default private. So I've had to actually change the privacy settings for each of the videos I uploaded this week. And I also updated my Tumblr to put the password for what those videos have. So they're actually passcode protected. So you click on the link and then you have to type in the passcode and then you'll be able to watch the video right after. And that's on Daily Motion. So then you won't even need to have your own account. But there is one series, Surrender, that does require that you turn off the family filter, and you still don't even have to sign up for the website, but it's like this button that's at the very end of the website that you'll have to turn off, and it'll say family filter off, and then when you type in the password you'll finally be able to view Surrender. So there are some things that are a bit different here, because on YouTube you could have just searched for the video and clicked on it right away. But for some of the other websites, there's a little bit more that you have to do. And then there's minds.com, which is a lot different than I thought it would be. I think it's a very interesting website. There are a lot of people on there. I saw there's like a general section on that app with a lot of other pages and with their material. Minds.com poses itself as a social media platform that doesn't censor you and that lets you, express yourself and be yourself. So that social media actually allows all types of videos, or almost all types of videos. They actually do allow nudity and the type of content that Choices views as bad is actually allowed on minds.com especially. So that's also a very good place for some Choices YouTubers to go to, especially if they still wanted to put out that content. And that one, you also don't need an account for. You would just go to my channel link and then click on the video. Some of them are labeled as not safe for work, so you just have to click on a button that says I'm over 18, and then it'll show you the video right after. So it is different, and it's not as clearly visible as YouTube, but at least it's there.
Interesting. Yep. It seems like those websites are, really good. Like they don't come after channels like, videos like the Nanny Affair or a Queen Bee. That's good there on Daily Motion and this. But I do hope like YouTube look into this in future, because why they're canceling it's far from understanding, like I said. But in any case, I will definitely be checking out more videos of you on minds.com. I did check out the website. It's pretty good. I see what you mean. I didn't sign up, but there was a search button, so I could have searched for anything. And I potentially searched Choices or something, but nothing popped up. So you would be probably one of very few people or the first to make any Choices related videos. So I can't wait to see how what kind of viewer base you have there. So it's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I am. I'm excited for it too. And you can see how many views that each post gets. It's a very different type of thing than YouTube. And it seems kind of harder to search for certain things and find them. But it's a very active platform, but it tends to be used by certain types of people who have felt that they were censored when they were on the very popular social media like YouTube and Instagram and Facebook, like those types of platforms. They are now on minds.com so that they can post their content there. So a lot of people view it as a very free place where they can just express themselves. And I noticed that right now too. I think it's a very different type of social media than what I am used to. And I believe there may be one or two other Choices YouTubers who are also on minds.com. So I actually got the idea from a Choices YouTuber who connected with me on YouTube. I saw his channel and he mentioned that he's uploading that certain series to Minds, and I thought, okay, maybe I should do that too. But for Daily Motion, that was just something that I thought of because I was doing a lot of searching online about what alternatives there are for YouTube, and I saw that that there are several websites that are pretty good alternatives. But I was most interested in Daily Motion because it has a pretty good maximum video specifications amount, meaning your video can be it can still be a pretty big file size, because a lot of the other websites require you to make the videos a very small file size. So that wasn't very ideal for me. So Dailymotion ended up being really good for that.
Yeah, Daily Motion is good. Without these like restrictions and all those coming after certain video and stuff. Those problems and bugs don't seem to be present there. Yeah. So good luck with that. Hope it just makes situation better there. But also, I think Wake the Dead or The Unexpected Errors and Old Pride, this kind of books you'll have on YouTube. And who knows, like maybe they can release some more good series which will be not that much, mature like these books, and they will be good for YouTube. Let's see.
Yeah, that's something I'm wondering about too. So I'm really enjoying Minds and Dailymotion right now, and other than that, I believe it has to do with the type of content that is being released by Pixelberry right now. And I'm seeing a shift towards more explicit or erotic content. There's more steamy romance content on the Choices app now than there ever was before. I believe this has been a pretty big surge in that type of content since last year. I might be wrong, but it could have been
Yeah, no,
even
you're
from
right.
2019. But
You're
it
right.
seems like this type of thing started last year and it has only just increased this year. And I'm always curious to see how the choices this. But the apparently the choices fans that do not talk to each other on social media, they tend to have a very different taste for what they're looking for. And then you have the choices fans that are
Silent killer.
interacting with each other. Yep, they're the silent majority. They're very interested in the books that are like the Wolf Bride, Baby Bump, the Royal Romance.
Yeah.
I don't know if I already said the Nanny Affair, but that was also a very popular one. It's because it's even getting a third book. I
Yes.
think that the series are just fine. They're good books, but that's it. It seems that Choices is going to be focusing on that because that's what the majority of the Choices players are interested in. However, it does seem to really surprise the Choices fans that are on social media because a lot of them don't actually like those books, or some of them do like those books, but it tends to not be their favorite. A lot of those fans, they tend to really enjoy the books like Blades of Light and Shadow
Wake
and
the Dead.
yeah, Wake the Dead. Yeah, those are ones that are very popular with them. So that's why I see some Choices fans, they're not very happy about what's being released. But the reality is the silent majority actually likes those books and they spend a lot on them too. So they're buying the diamond packages and they're also paying for the VIP subscription. So that's why Pixelberry has shifted their focus a little bit in that direction. And I don't fault them for doing that either. They're a business; they
Yeah,
have to do what they have to
yeah.
do, and it makes a lot of sense. It was surprising to me at first because I didn't see any of the Choices fans I was interacting with. A lot of them don't really like those series that much. So it was surprising to me too. But later
Hmm.
on, I started to get a different perspective when I realized that there are actually a lot of Choices readers that do like those books.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I was just going through the comments under the trailers after you told me, and I saw someone said, "Oh, I like this book," Surrender, and they received like 8 or 9 likes. And someone said, like they're just like you said, they're just focusing too much on this erotica genres, bring back the old books, and it got 89 likes. One comment got 137 likes. So yep, I mean the people checking out, they just seem to not be the majority, but there are people who probably don't even come up on Instagram, but just open the app and just spend some diamonds. Maybe 20 or 30% of them are on social media, but the majority of them are not present here. They don't let their voice, you know, out, but you know, they do spend diamonds, like you said, and at the end of the day, it's business. So they will just go about it this way. But I would still add on that. I know, trying something new is good, but still they don't want to drive their base readers who like books like Endless Summer or Wake the Dead away, because that's still pretty a big chunk of the readers, a chunk of Choices fans. So I think they should try eroticas or BDSM genres, like in the like the way they're sort of exploring the sex books so far. But they should maintain a proper balance, because I think that would only make everyone happy. Like it's just you get something, someone else also gets something, so everyone is happy. The balance is maintained there, because a lot of people pointed out, you go to chapters, you wouldn't even get any book that are really good book. Very few books. Most of them are the same kind of CEO romance, and at one point the sex books and stuff. And I installed Moments at one point. I mean, they are just full of erotica genres and not much good story. Similarly, it just seems to be a trend, but Choices was the exceptional app where they actually focused on a good plot rather than these kind of things. But I know as it's growing, they're trying to see the because, like you said, if someone goes to these apps, not a lot of people go to read interactive story because they like literature or they like to read a good plot, but they just go to read a story, a fantasy, or maybe a kind of fantasy where they're hooking up with a hot love interest. Majority of them are male love interest, and just spending time with, like, sort of these taboo relationships, boss, your professor, CEO, some senior position. I think I see why it would make sense. They give in to people in more amount, so people keep coming back. But I still think books like Endless Summer, The Unexpected Heiress, these kind of books, they need to keep it coming. Like make a it's hard, I know, but still, like, keeping a balance. Make a partition between these two. So if not 50-50, at least 60-40. That would, nobody will be able to complain after that, in a way, because everybody's getting something.
Yeah, that's the way I see it too. I don't view this as something to criticize Choices or Pixelberry for endlessly. I understand why they have to do it, because it seems that there is a majority of the reader, the majority of them are actually a fan of those types of steamy romance books. And I know what you mean about the other apps. I have a lot of visual novel apps on my phone because I'm really obsessed with this type of app now. But I don't really open them as much as Choices because they're not. I don't know what to say. They're not as special to me. They don't seem to be distinguished in any way. Pixelberry has its quirks, and it's just very different. The background music is beautiful. I love the graphics, and they make every character look very unique, or at least the characters that are important in those series. So that's one thing I really love about Pixelberry is they put in a lot of effort. So that's why it will always be the number one app for me. I also looked at Moments. I also checked chapters, even scripts. I don't want to criticize these apps because I think they have their purpose. I think they're great. They have a lot of fans. But like you said, they're pretty much full of the erotica type of content because that's really in now. So those apps have definitely been able to do well because they know that that's a very common type of it's a very well liked type of story. And when it comes to social media and the very vocal fans, the vocal fans are actually the ones that are in the minority, the ones who like Endless Summer, Wake the Dead, Blades of Light and Shadow, the other genre books. I don't think some of them realize, but we're actually in the minority in that the majority actually like the Nanya Affair and the similar books like that. And these are the casual Choices players who are opening up the app when they finally have time in their day so that they can have their fantasy. and
Exactly.
they should be able to have that too. They should be able to have that, and we should also be able to have our books like Wake the Dead. So
Yeah.
I am also hoping that choices or that Pixelberry goes for a balance, because I'm okay with them having this type of book too. I actually played both Surrender chapters yesterday, or I finished one of them like over the night, but and I thought it was good. I like the way that Choices actually approaches that type of book, because theirs is still higher quality than than some
Yeah.
of the other apps. So
Exactly.
I will
And
still support them. I'll still support them if they're going to be putting out content like Surrender, and I even uploaded Surrender to the other websites. I'm just hoping that they can still keep the balance, because that to me is very important. And because at the very beginning, Choices was known for their stories, and I will never ever forget The Crown and the Flame. That is such a phenomenal story.
yeah.
That is a story that I read time and time again. I've replayed it so much. It's an amazing series. That's the type of stuff that I hope Pixelberry can go back to.
Yeah. It would be a pleasure. I mean, I know what you mean because if you look at this year, VIP and non-VIP releases, you have, I'm just counting first the romance books. You had Mismatch, which was pretty much similar. It didn't have much of the, taboo scene, but kind of the same, like a little bit romance. And then you had, what else? The Nanny Affair, of course. And then Wolf Pride, you had releasing, and then Surrender Now. You had Royal Romance, which is a romance book, and I can't seem to remember, but we still had one or two more romance or erotica books there. Queen Bee is kind of 50-50 there with Surrender. They are mature, but they have stuff happening in a unique way. So these two are kind of in the middle. I would say Wolf Pride is stuff is happening over there too, but it's still part of the romance book, not the thrilling adventure that is there. And then on contrary, it's up to 7 or 8 romance books. You have just the unexpected heiress with every heartbeat, and Wake the Dead. 3 books. I mean, the 3 books which have proper plot alongside Laws of Attraction, I guess, also, and Foreign Affairs. So just the balance that's, I guess, it's missing. If they make the balance, that would be good. And also, I also watched Surrender. One thing they need to change, I guess, is just it's becoming. I would love to see what you say. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. But I think I've been with Choices for a long time. But one thing, like when I played, I didn't play, but I watched the Surrender. I felt like it was the beginning of the Nanny Affair in the same way, because the kind of the push for, like I said, you date someone like there's a taboo relationship. There has to be someone higher than you, or work professional that way. And also, okay, the position, I think they need to do something about that. Like, it always has to be a hard boss, lawyer, CEO, someone rich. You're just entering there, getting the privileges. I know, going back to our fantasy conversation, that it does have all the fantasies there, but I think at some point it just becomes stale, and just, yeah, we have done that. So I personally feel hard to differentiate book and that book. But also, how fast we fall for our love interest, or how fast things happen. Because the first 2 chapters, I know it's like a BDSM genre and erotica, but the way things move, like they advance, the love interest was like he advanced or she advanced super hard, and a main character also kind of went along with it. And after the divorce, I think it was anybody will be shaky after that. If they got cheated like that, and there will be trust issues and stuff, and specifically going into the same thing that that caused the problem in the first place. I think that's just my opinion. I would like to hear what you have to say. Your take on this. But what do you think? Just a question to you, like, how do you think the pace should have been different? Because it was same in the Nanny Affair, and here it's almost the same, and even a bit more pushed or rushed. Like like in Shipwreck, there is like a proper getting to know the love interest. We do have the hearts for the love interest, and we have the attraction toward each other. But we don't just go on to show it. We actually take time, understand, and slowly it develops. There was a bit, rushness, but it was as close to reality as it was possible. But did it seem didn't to you? Did it seem like they just kind of a rush, like it happened all of a sudden and too fast and too quick? Like, what's the take on it?
Wow, you're definitely not the only one who thinks that. I just wanted to go back to Shipwreck for just only one moment. I
Yeah,
appreciate the slow burn romance because they do very well, and I've really grown to love Manu. So that, you know, kudos to choices for that because they
yeah,
actually allow you to build a bond, a true bond with the love interest. But going back to the other series, when I started the Nanny Affair, I liked it. Although it's not my favorite book, it also kind of seemed a bit fast because in real life, people probably don't, compromise their professional relationships that quickly. I don't think that's something that's very common. So that's why it's a very good fantasy book with the forbidden romance. And I thought that the pace for the Nanny Affair, I think, is kind of fast. It's not that bad, but it's a little fast. And then when you look at Surrender, it's too fast.
exactly.
It's different. It's like a whole different ball game here. It is similar to the Nanny Affair in the type of content and the professional relationship with the love interest being someone who is in a position where if they're dating you, it's a conflict of interest. So that's the same, and it kind of has some of those vibes as well. But it's even fast. It's even more. It's quicker, and it feels like everything just went from 0 to 100. Even
Exactly.
like at chapter in the end of chapter one. So in this book, you see that the love interest is like very very aggressive, and they already have their sights on you, and it's different because even in the Nanny Affair, the love interest
Yeah,
tried to reject you to at least respect you in a way, but here you're not going to be seeing that. So this
exactly.
one is going to be very different. I am excited to see the rest of the chapters, but I am wondering what are they going to do to balance the fact that the romance that or not even the romance but that the relationship, whatever it is that they have between the main character and the love interest. I don't know what to call it, but I'm just wondering because I know it's going to be fast. Is there going to be something that they're going to do to actually balance that or to help fix the story? Because right now it's very, very fast. And even the second chapter, you can still feel that the love interest is definitely 100% very aggressive and not taking no for an answer. It's a bit different than what I'm used to in choices.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I have some more questions for you regarding this. But first of all, I would like to say, yeah, I totally agree with you. For Sam, I said, yeah, even Sam, I remember in DNA book one, I really liked. It was my one of the favorite books back then. I just brought it here to draw the comparison that something like DNA we had that was a good book, like what we had in Surrender. I just after reading Surrender, I thought it's not a new thing. It has been done before. It's just like you said, it's in a too aggressive manner, and it's too much of sexual tension. That's just what it is in here. Except like the kind of thing we had there, we had in the Nanny Affair, sort of. So I was just wondering about that. And the thing about Sam, you're right. So when Robin was flirting with us, Sam gets us in the limo and tells us if anyone crosses the line with you, you will tell me, and even if it's me. So definitely, I agree. Like Sam was not, like I'm a hands-on our main character or anything. Like Sam really respected our main character. If what it's worth, our main character was the one who was, a bit, risking and was, giving birth to the desire in Sam. So yeah, it's a different ballgame indeed.
Oh my god, that's so true. It was definitely the main character in the nanny affair that was instigating everything. And she even had the plan with her best friend. So that was literally that's what it was in that book. So it's a different dynamic. Although some of the content is similar, the type of relationship you're seeing between the love interest and the main character is different. This time it's more aggressive and it feels weird sometimes, but I'm interested to see where they go with it because this is not very common for choices. But like you said, this type of content in Surrender is very overdone in the other apps in the visual novel community. So I don't believe that there's a lot you can do to make it special. But at least they can focus on making it quality or making it enjoyable. However, it does seem kind of hard to make a BDSM story seem special because there's just a lot of them out there. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who will pay for this content. It's very popular. A lot of visual novel readers do love forbidden romance and they love that type of dynamic because it's something that's different than their normal life. So there is a purpose for this content, and I can see why it's there. I can tell that a lot of people are paying for this, and I'm gonna also read it too. I'm gonna be here for the ride. Hopefully, it's good. I'm gonna be playing all of Surrender. I actually told myself that I did not know if I was gonna play it, but I decided to play it anyway because you have the chance to get the female love interest. So for me, I view that as another opportunity because I love the choices female love interest. So that's kind of why I told myself, okay, I'll just try it anyway.
Just I'm saying like it's just good with the genre. Like you said, there are people who will spend their money for it, but I just wished when they said BDSM book, I thought they would come up with something, a more intrigued. Because, like I said, it feels like we have read a love interest dynamic like this. Not the dynamic, but the love interest, like the relationship, like the MC and love interest position. We've had those more than a couple of times in choices. But I hope it's the last of it we are seeing, and from next year they can give us some more new dynamics and position of the love interest other than just see you or boss, because that would be interesting. And choices is an app, and why I had different opinion expectation, because choices is an app that makes common thing really special. Because I read Hero, and there are thousands of works. If you see the movie universe, if you see comic books, there are thousands and thousands of superhero books. But choices had also a superhero book, but it was something special. And you look at the horror book, choices had, there are lots of horror genres out there, but when choices started working on the horror genre, they just made it look different, special, unique. You wouldn't see this kind of horror book or hero book somewhere else, even with the mystery books. So whatever choices do, they just make it unique and different. Like you said earlier that other app stores are not distinguishable, but choices is distinguishable for this reason. But over time, I'm seeing this. It's kind of becoming predictable. Like, it seems like I'm just, picking it up from where I left the nanny affair at some point in terms of the dynamic. So I just hope, it changes over time, because I would love to see what uniqueness they bring to the table. Because choices, I've known them for a long time, and it's all about uniqueness for them.
Yes, that's the thing. Choices started off as that app that has that the stories have a very beautiful atmosphere, that they're unique, they're wholesome, it's so different. And then the high school story, one of the first few stories, and I mean the freshman actually, all of that stuff, people love it so much and they go back to it a lot because it gives them a different feel than the books that they're reading now. There's a different atmosphere with those books compared to what is being released right now. But that doesn't mean that everything that's being released now is bad. They're still good. But at the end of the day, Choices is wonderful because they know how to put a unique spin on their stories. Even the nanny affair was still enjoyable to me. Even though this is not the type of content that I normally read, I still like it, and I'm looking forward to the other type of stuff they do like this. But like you said, I'm kind of hoping that they move away from the forbidden romance dynamic, because there's a bit too much of that right now. Because we have that in Queen Bee, we even have that in Laws of Attraction. It's in Surrender, the Nanny Affair. There's probably even other books that I haven't mentioned that have a forbidden romance dynamic. But I would be interested, like you, to see another type of dynamic this time. At least one thing I'll give Surrender credit for is that they're going to be letting you play as the love interest. So that
That's
to me is very interesting, because as soon as I hit chapter two, that's when I got to play as a love interest, and it's very different. I'm not used to this type of gameplay, but I like it just because it's a little different. So you know how we were saying that this type of genre is overdone and it's very popular, and it's hard to make it distinguishable. It looks like Choices is doing that already. They're already kind of trying to distinguish this one by letting you play as the love interest. So even if they're gonna do this stuff, I want them to have a spin on it, or to make it special, and I will still be satisfied that way.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, while the love interest MC position, that's pretty much common, but they still add something special, like you said. You're exactly right. It's the gameplay. You can play from the love interest point of view, which has never been done, even in choices for the better part. You know, so that's really good because I think it's gonna be alternative chapters from MC's perspective and from love interest perspective. I'm glad they're doing that.
Me too. And because of that, I'm not as neutral about Surrender anymore. Now I'm actually interested to see what's going to be happening. Um, my interest is now increased for that series. I hope it does. I hope it does still end up being interesting, because in the past there were some series that let you change the point of view that you were playing for. So there were multiple main characters in a book, and some Choices fans do not like that. Some of them prefer to play as the main character strictly, because to them it's a more it's like a cleaner
Closer.
experience for them,
Yeah,
and for them it's easier. Yeah, and for them, it's because they bond with the main character, and they want to be able to play as the main character for the whole book. So I can see from both sides that they have the one main main character book, and then they have the other ones that have multiple main characters. Sometimes it isn't done very well when you have multiple main characters, but here I'm hoping for the best, and it's already something different that I'm seeing compared to the other apps that I read with this type of story. So I'm still overall excited for Surrender, and I know that Choices does such a good job at distinguishing themselves in some way. Even Mismatch was very well done too. So I really do appreciate Choices, because Mismatch was also one of those stories that you see a lot in the other visual novel apps, but it was actually really, really well done. I was shocked to see that the dynamic was actually very realistic, and that the love interest was actually rude for a lot of the chapter, but then everything, like, obviously, turned out well, like it does in most Choices books. I really did like that. So they do a good job with, even if they're going to give you something that's kind of average, they'll fix it somehow by putting their own spin and making it special.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with Mismatch there. It was a pretty, at one point it became a sweet story, so it's like pretty comforting by the end, and you have fair amount of competition, villain, sabotaging. So it was a good one there. It was mostly a romance book at the end of the day, but it was still, like you said, it's a romance genre, but just like they do it with every other book, like Wolf Bride. So they do it with every other book, and Mismatch was also pretty common, but still in its own way unique.
Yeah, and for someone like me who prefers fantasy and sci-fi books and horror and mystery, I have to say that Mismatch is a pretty good book. I really, really enjoyed it. It has a pretty good plot. It's very dramatic. The dynamic between the main character and the love interest is different because it's not, well, it is forbidden, but they're not on a different position level. So one of them is not higher than the other. So it's still competition based, but in that itself is, it makes it different. But I do really enjoy it. So if that's something that someone who's listening who hasn't even checked out that story, I personally think it's a pretty good story.
It's a pretty, common story and relaxing, and you just go there. The characters you enjoy. Like another thing, like we don't have much books or that much character development of other characters. So here you have a lot of characters there, and it's just super interesting to get to know them, and even to see some characters that will betray you later. So it was just good one, I guess.
Yeah, that one, I'm very glad that I read it and that I actually, went through the whole book. It was fun. That was probably one of the newer VIP series, probably from the beginning of the year. It was still there. And
Yeah,
they
mismatch
had,
slow burn.
yeah, Slow Burn. I'm not gonna mention it because I'm not sure if you've been through the whole book yet, but that's a solid book. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Slow burn is a really good book. A lot of people are saying like the main love interest was like Gordon Ramsay. So I was like excited to like read it. I know it's going to come out of VIP section maybe next year or December, but yeah, it will be interesting to read. I have heard a lot of good things about Slow Burn.
I am very impressed with it. I really, when I was reading that book, I was so impressed with Pixelberry. There's just so much. Not only is it a culinary arts type of book, but there's so much adventure in it too. That's a very good book that I do believe that a lot of Choices fans will enjoy. And again, because it's also a little bit competition based, and because they have the Gordon Ramsay type of character, there's going to be a lot of drama. But it's good, and I think that's kind of funny how some of the fans that they remind that Everett or Yvette reminds them of Gordon Ramsay. Kind of, yeah. It
Yeah,
kind of does. Yeah, I can see why they would say that, but this character is better. Or I'm not even saying that to say against Gordon Ramsay because Gordon Ramsay's amazing in his own way, but the love interest in Slow Burn, the chef, is phenomenal because you see an amazing level of character development. So that's something that at least that they do very well in.
I have to still read it. But does the love interest ever say stupid sandwich to our main character? Just asking.
You mean, are you asking if is there a scene like that?
Yeah.
You know, I know what you mean. That's such a nice meme. I've seen it so much. There is something similar. There are some outrageous moments in that book. That's why I think people will love it. Sometimes the chef kind of goes crazy, but yeah, it's not like the same thing. But there is something pretty similar to it, in my opinion. Especially like how Gordon Ramsay in his show, how he kind of goes off on the restaurant or the chef that he's talking to. That does happen here too. So it is. I can see why they say it's like Gordon Ramsay. It was so entertaining for me too.
I'm just waiting for this book to drop. And I think what they did with this book, they should do in every single book. Because one main love interest, gender customizable, race customizable. Second love interest, gender customizable. I think, and main character, gender customizable. I don't think, and the app's name is Choices. I don't think you can have any better choice in any other book. I mean, this is just ideal. This is what they should make, like a precedent. They should follow after this book. I mean, nobody will complain if they go like this.
Yes, exactly. There will be a lot less complaints because it will finally be a gender of choice book. Because I know that this has been a concern in the past that a lot of the player base really did want to be able to play as a male main character. And now maybe in the future they might have a non-binary male a non-binary character as a main interest. That might be something. I'm wondering if choice is going to actually expand on that. But it is good that you had choices for all types of things in that book. That's something I didn't even mention either when I was talking about slow burn, was that you got to choose even how the love interest looks, both of them. So that I love that too. That was something to me that was special, and like you said, should be a standard for the rest of the books.
Yeah, it does make to choose. It does make it hard to choose between Julia and Evite, but I would say that's a good headache to have.
I know it was difficult actually because at the beginning when I posted my slow burn gameplay, I was going for Julia because Yvette scared me. She actually I don't know how to explain it, but just the way she was kind of scared me.
I know what you mean. Can you hear me? Hello?
What's going on? Are you able to hear me now?
Yeah, I'm able to hear you now. Your voice is off for a second there. Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I just fixed some setting, and it's good that that I'm back on.
Yeah.
So what I was last saying was that I switched over
Yeah.
from yeah. Yvette scared me because she was kind of explosive. She was like Gordon Ramsay. So it to me, I thought I will romance her too, but I'm probably gonna pick Julia. Julia's like the sweetheart type, the one that comes there to support you. She gives you advice, and she seems to be the type of person that has um, unlimited love to give. So, and she's very nurturing. So that's kind of why I think I liked her a lot. But later on, I did end up choosing Yvette because everything that happened with her, it was like you went through so many issues with her, and at the very end you realized that that the main character and that Yvette really care about each other. That was a beautiful story, even in the romance aspect. So that is a very good book that I think a lot of people will also enjoy.
I know what you mean. I'm waiting for Slow Burn. It's actually a really great book released this year.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the solid books. I put the choices books in different categories in my mind, and that one is better than the average.
I'm just waiting for it to come out of the VIP library. It's gonna be really awesome to read this, with all the excitement and interesting plot I've heard about it and the memes I've seen about it. I can't wait to read it.
I'm also excited to hear what you have to say about it. So when you start it, I definitely am probably going to be asking you some questions about what you feel about it because it's not a controversial book that made people upset like some series, but it's a crazy book in its own way. So I'm interested to see what your take is on it, and I do think that you're probably also going to like it, like many of the other readers did. The other VIP fans pretty much also enjoyed that book as well, and it was realistic when it comes to the relationship aspect. It was realistic, like yeah, like it was realistic, even like Mismatch was. So it's comparable in that aspect.
Mismatch was pretty much realistic also, yeah. And this book was also, like the recipes they came up with and how they represented different cultures and the culinary diversity and how they did everything. It was like a really proper cooking show. I love watching cooking shows. Like I remember last time I think I watched the Canada's Master Chef or something, and I used to watch this show, Food Paradise and Man versus Food. So I do enjoy food shows. So I will definitely love this show.
That kind of brought me back to an early time when I used to watch the Food Network channel a lot. I used to watch it with like my mom and my brothers, and I just genuinely loved those shows. It's just something so different about them than watching like a TV show or a reality show or something. The cooking
Do you know
shows,
Adam
they seem to
Richman?
be. You mean, what was your question?
Do you know Adam Richman?
Adam Richmond? No, I don't believe so. What show is he from?
Oh, he's from Man versus Food, and he's the guy who used to take challenge. Like he will eat something in a hotel in 40 minutes, and he'll get his name on the Wall of Fame. Like it was a pretty popular show, and I love that guy.
I am actually pretty interested in that now. I'm going to be looking into that later today. I know of that show, but I haven't really seen it. I believe I watched an episode of it a while ago, and I don't really remember it. So I definitely do want to go back and check it out and see what it's about, because I also heard that it's pretty popular, very exciting. The the shows that I was watching was the Rachel Ray cooking shows. What was another one? I believe one of them was also called, one of the chefs is Bobby Flay, and one of them was named Emerald. There was a lot, like my whole family was watching that with me, and it
Wow.
was kind of like a routine for us. So I miss those cooking show days because
I
they
know
were
what
pretty
you mean.
nice.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I love those. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, mismatch is it's a great book. I'm sorry. Yeah, which one? That one too. But slow burn. It's just it's just awesome.
Slow burn is going to have a lot of different dynamics and different problems and situations that you're probably not going to be used to, like in other choices books, but that's a good thing.
So one more question I would like to ask. I was watching in a lot of comments. People are saying that uh, surrender the first two chapters. Like I personally don't have much idea about it, but the comments said it's not a good representation of the BDSM community, and it's just they just modeled it after some 50 Shades of Grey. Like I said, I don't have much idea about the community and how this works, but it did seem like to me they just modeled it after some movies or some maybe some R-rated movies and stuff, or some books like that. Or how do you feel about that? Who say like there could like some more, bring some more content or more clarity to the plot or how it's actually done, because it's just someone said like it's not just about being like just like how it was like just being bonded and begging for pleasure and just get me out of this miserable life and stuff. So there were just a lot of comments about that, and they were expressing their concern over it. So how would you say, or how was it done? Depending on the first two chapters, I know this lot. It has a long way to go, 6 more chapters, and we'll see how it is. But just from the first impression, how would you say you felt about these comments?
So I'm gonna go back to what I feel about the research they did before they wrote this. From someone like me, my perspective, I don't really know about BDSM at all. The only thing I know is like I watched maybe one or two scenes of 50 Shades of Grey, but I've never even finished like, the movie. So I don't know anything really about this community. All I know is that consent is very important between the dominant person in the relationship and the submissive person, and that consent is number one. That's the one thing that I know, that I've heard repeated many times. And they even have safe words. So if there is something you're not comfortable with, that you have to communicate that with the dominant person. in that dynamic. So I don't really know anything about BDSM because it's not something I really like looked into ever before. But for me, reading these two chapters, it seems kind of like they don't know anything about it either. It seems kind of like it's just being glossed over, as if you don't get into the BDSM scene very deeply. It's just kind of like they just scratched the surface of what that is. And I can see why, if that would happen, if the only thing that they went off of was 50 Shades of Grey, because that is not enough research for that type of community.
But yeah. Yeah, someone said, I think the 50 Shades of Grey, it's not a good BDSM movie, or neither the book it was based off is a good BDSM movie. And it's a funny comment I received. Someone said, it's just like TNA kind of, but 50 Shades of Grey is based off. No, yeah, not a TNA, not this one. Oh yeah, this one. It's best of a where yeah, the 50 Shades of Grey. It's like if they did their research on 50 Shades of Grey, it's like doing your history project or research on TikTok.
I know, it's like using Wikipedia to do something, and I feel kind of bad for saying this. I don't want to, say anything bad about the writers, because the Pixelberry writing teams are phenomenal. They do a great job. I guess for them, in their defense, I'll give them this credit, that they wanted to bond together by looking at a very popular BDSM media together. So maybe that was for them to be something that they used to start the mood for how they're gonna write their book. So maybe that's why they did it, because you know how the choices, the Pixelberry blog, where they talked about what they did in preparation. They basically, the four writers, I believe it's 3 or 4 writers, or maybe even 5. They said that they watched 50 Shades of Grey together before writing the book. So maybe this was considered a bonding activity for them. Maybe they could have admitted that they did actual other research, but as far as I know, they didn't say that. So now me and everyone else just thinks that they used 50 Shades of Grey for research, and that's definitely not a prime research source, because it's not even considered real BDSM by a lot of people that are actually in the community. So I think that's really interesting. But at the same time, a lot of other people don't know about BDSM either, other than 50 Shades of Grey. So I don't blame them for it. But I hope that it's still done well, and I do think it is going to be done well. But it's probably not going to be a book that's actually going deep into the BDSM culture, especially if they're just relying on that movie.
Yeah, I think they said they had fun while writing this book. Like in any other book, they didn't have this much fun. So I think it's going to be that, not exploring BDSM for real, but just the fun of it from the surface, like in the movie 50 Shades of Grey. It's in a fun way, but not like really going too deep into it. But for average readers, or not average, but for the majority of the readers, it won't be as much making difference. It won't be making as much difference, because like you said, most people probably don't know about it, and they just know as much as they do, even less than them. So yeah, it's just that. But I think people who are saying that, probably they have more insight to it, or maybe they wanted a better product, since they probably had a high expectations. But we'll have to see. But yeah, you're true about where they stand on this topic and where we stand on this topic, perhaps.
Yeah, the way you describe that is pretty good. It does seem like if that was the only material that they used for research, then they're on the same level that even the readers are on. Because I don't believe most people in the world are into BDSM, but I do believe there's a lot of people who are. So that's why for them, 50 Shades is what they consider BDSM, even though to actual people in the community, they kind of don't view it as a very good representation So I thought that's very interesting, but I don't fault them for watching that book together because it's a good thing to bond with the other writers and team members before you start a project. So it's good that they did that, but it did kind of rub people the wrong way because it made them think that that was their only source
Research.
of research. So I don't know if that's true. Maybe they did do other types of research anyway, but they didn't mention it in the choices blog at least. So maybe in the later chapters they might surprise us by actually making it seem like we are
Yeah, it's
transformed
too
into
early.
this. Yeah, it is too early right now, but I'm just interested to see what goes on in the future for this book. What I'm hoping for is that they can transform the atmosphere of the book into like a BDSM room, and to make it an experience like that um, where we're very aware of how the main character feels about everything. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see new backgrounds
Yeah, I
and
mean,
new-
yeah, go on.
no, you're fine.
Oh no, no, I was just gonna add to that, like, um, that yeah, probably something like that would happen because I think this book could end at some point. So, I mean, without going into the topic that whether it's gonna have a book two or not, but this book will end at one point. So, I think something will happen. Like this just can't be the only one direction it goes. Like it has to have some climax and it has to have some, like some conclusion. I think only time will tell on that. It could be something more interesting under the surface. We'll have to see.
Yeah, that is true. There could be a spin to it later on. Right now, in the first two chapters, we don't see that, but I'm seeing a hint of a strange thing in this dynamic. I'm not going to spoil it for everyone anyway, but there's something there that may change into a different type of. I don't know how to explain it, but I can see that there's a start of something different for that main character. So I do think that's something to look forward to for those of us who are reading the book currently.
All right, so that was Surrender. So moving on from this, we have the book covers also. Let's talk about the Surrender book trailer. It was also a female MC and male love interest, and also the book cover is female MC, male love interest, just like previous other books. I don't have a list prepared, but off the top of my head, for the recent books I can remember, The Nanny Affair, Old Pride, you have the um, Shipwrecked, and this one. All recent four book releases were male and female, male love interest and female main character. So, and not much diversity that they actually do have underneath, but not in. It's missing in the action when they're showing it.
I know, and this was the week that I started thinking about that too. I've actually thought about that before anyway. I was always curious as to why there isn't diversity in the book trailers and in the book covers themselves. So what's going on is basically almost all of the choices books, despite excluding the ones where it just has the main character only, just on the book cover only. The rest of them seem to be the female main character with the male interest. So it's very appealing to their most common type of audience, and I'm surprised to see that they're not really switching it up that much because I have a list of the unique book covers.
Cutting
So
off.
when it comes to when it comes to the male player audience that likes the female love interests, there's only one book cover that actually represents them. It's for the heist Monaco.
You
So
ready for
that
this? There's another. Isn't there what's the book name? Perfect Match.
Oh, perfect match. Perfect match. I think wasn't perfect match also like the type of cover where it was the female main character and then it had the male love interest, right?
I thought, the female, the in the book cover, the female one had, some puzzle pieces in their chest. So I think that was Hayden, perhaps, and there's a male character. I don't know because it was confusing for me.
You know what? I'm going to be looking that up right now because I'm curious. I'm aware of that book cover because I played that series and I finished it. So you're talking about Perfect Match Book 2?
I think book one also. I thought I think book one we had like a female on the book cover. The female one has like puzzles like a robot has in their chest, and there's the male character. So that just made me think that maybe it has a male main character and a female love interest in the book poster, but I can be wrong.
You know, I just pulled up the the book cover for Perfect Match Book 1, and I'll tell you what I'm seeing. The the woman that's on the cover is actually the main character. She's the black female main character version of the so that's definitely her because I could tell because she had the premium option dress that you got in the first few chapters. She's wearing that, and she also has the trademark perfect match hairstyle that I believe is also a premium choice. And then the man that's with her is actually Hayden. So it is definitely along the line of the long list of other chapters, other book covers that have the female main character, male love interest couple. So I know you may have been confused, but apparently it is still not representation for male main character. So that one unfortunately doesn't have that representation either.
Wow.
The only one, so there's an alternative Blades of Light and Shadow cover that we don't really see a lot of. I believe it's not even in the actual app itself, but apparently there's I've seen the picture too. So for Blades of Light and Shadow, there is a male main character version out there. I assume they didn't use it anyway, but there actually is one out there on the internet that you can find. But you know, as far as official book covers, there's only one for the men who romance women in choices. There's only one, literally only one, called The Heist Monaco. So that's the only kind of book that represents them in the trailer and in the cover. So that definitely is lacking. So that there's that, and then there's the male loving male community. They only have one book that actually publicly represents them called Foreign Affairs. Not only that, but it was shown even in the book trailer and on the book cover. So that one is a more so both of those covers for the male main characters, they're kind of like a romantic cover. But the sad thing is that there's just only two of them out of like the many other books that Choices has. So there seems to be a need for them to actually make more diverse looking covers and trailers. And then now I'm moving on to the women loving women community. There are only 3 book covers
Oh, they are.
with that type of couple. Only 3. So the first one that I'm aware of, well, I'm not going to be saying this like in terms of when the book was released, I'm just saying them as the ones that I found. So High School Story Class Act Book 2 is
Oh
one of
yeah,
those
yeah,
books that
yeah, yeah. Right. With Sky, I guess.
yeah, definitely. I think it's a pretty cute cover. I'm clicking on it right now to see what kind of impression I get of it. It doesn't really look like a romance romantic type of cover to me. It kind of seems like I don't know. This one I'm very neutral about. I mean, I'm glad that Sky is on the cover. That's important because they don't have that type of representation very often in choices. But yeah, that was one of three books. I think it's a good one. It's a pretty cute book cover, but it's definitely a rare type. And then there is another one. The second cover that I saw that also has a couple representation would be Freshman Book 3.
Hitman.
Yeah, are you aware of the Freshman Book 3 cover? Have you seen it?
I have seen so many covers of Freshman that I can't remember, but I think I have seen it. Yeah, the Caitlyn one. I think I'm aware of it.
Okay, yeah, it's good to know. I just wanted to make sure before I talk about it. So that was the second one that I found, and it's not a romantic cover. It just looks like it just looks like they're friends taking a selfie, you know. So it's not even like, to me it just looks like a cover of two women who are pretty close, and there doesn't seem to be a romantic context to me at
Same.
least. Is that how you feel about it too?
Yeah, I mean, those books also, and same with Sky. It just feels like they're just friends. Not like how they put it in Oath Pride or The Nanny Affair or Surrender or not Surrender. It's a different ballgame, but Shipwrecked even. So it's definitely not like this. Or even in Open Heart, book one. Ethan and our main character.
Yeah, you brought up something that was really important that I was going to discuss later about how, talking about the book covers themselves and the dynamic we see between the characters and the art, and the ones like Shipwreck and even Distant Shores, they have a very romantic context. The characters look like they're in love or they're embracing each other. So those are obvious romance or obvious romantic covers. And you're not seeing that in the LGBT community representation or in men who romance women. So for some reason, we are not seeing that at all in the other communities of people who play choices. So like you said, I also got the impression that the high school story class act book 2 cover seemed kind of like friend-like and not really romantic or anything. And even the Freshman Book 3 one is also, it doesn't really have a romantic context because it just looks like the main character is literally just leaning down on Caitlyn and they're taking a selfie. And to me, that just doesn't really scream romance or give me that vibe. So, I mean, at least they have this cover, but it's just not enough. And then the third one is the book called Senior, which is probably from later on in the Freshman series. There's so many books in that series alone. It must have been a very, very popular series. I know a lot of people love it. But the third Woman Loving Woman chapter, or not chapter, but book cover is the Senior. And it shows, I believe that's Becca and the main character. And it's also not a romantic cover. It literally just looks like they're sitting together, like having a discussion and smiling. Like it honestly does not even look like a romantic type of cover either. So that's just interesting to me how for the rest of the community who aren't women who romance men, all of the other types of covers, they're not really showing you that romantic context or anything like that. Foreign Affairs kind of is. The one that was for the male-loving males, it kind of shows you a romantic context, but apparently some people don't think it does. They think it seems like a friend kind of vibe. So I don't know. For that, I can't really speak to that much. But to me, it's definitely not on the level as Wolf Bride is, Distant Shores and even other books like that. It's not on that level. And of course, the Heist Monaco is not really a romantic type of cover either. So to me, seeing all of these book covers for the rest of the community, the one people like us who are not in the majority, they're not publicly actually representing us. Although they have content for us, we're not publicly shown as a type of game. And that's something that I really do think Choices or Pixelberry needs to fix, because the public representation is the important part. Because if you were to just go on the app and look at these stories, you'll assume that you can't play a female couple or a male couple, or as a male main character with a female love interest. You'll assume that immediately because you don't even really see a lot of evidence of it at the first glance. So when you open the app, you have to actually go to the stories, and then you find out that you have those options. But to me, it's strange because you don't see that publicly. So although Pixelberry says that they care about diversity and inclusion, we don't see that publicly. And that's something that needs to be fixed.
I agree with you there. I mean, Choices is the only app out of all the apps out there where you can choose your love interest gender. And it's been like that since the very first book, The Royal Romance. You have lots of male love interests, but still, out of them, you have one female love interest, Hannah. And in every book, it's just because in some books I try to play in some other apps, and I see a lot of people don't like to date, male characters. But the storyline is like you have only a male love interest. You can't date a female. So they have different books like it's only gender locked love interest. But Choices never do that. So that's a really good thing they do, and they have been doing it for a long time. But like you said, they just need to show it. They just need to, because representation matters, like you said, they need to show what they stand for. They need to show what they believe. I think, they could be a bit conservative in terms of how they design their book posters, because it might not get much success. Foreign Affairs wasn't a big success, I would say. And, but books with, I think it's something, the majority of the readers are probably female who like to choose female male love interest. And I'm still glad they haven't gone to the level of other apps where they have only a male love interest and not a single female love interest in some certain books. But there's not a single book in Choices like that. I'm glad that they're doing it. But like you said, if someone new is joining Choices and they are from MLM community, or just female like LGBT community who like to date female, females who like to date female, then for instance, like for yourself, like if you hadn't known Choices and if you just were to go in Choices and you have seen how brutal other apps are when it comes to choosing love interest, so you'll be like, you see that book cover of Laws of Attraction, I'm like, I'm turned off. I mean, what would I even go? It's just a male love interest, perhaps, or even it's just So I think they need to show it, and I know because I think what they need to do. I'm not saying is change the all the book covers into a female or male love interest main character, but just like we're having the conversation before about bringing new dynamics or relationship Eli, because it's getting kind of stale. Similarly, it goes the same way for the posters. We have had enough of the posters. Just like I said, Oak Pride, Shipwreck, Laws of Attraction, Surrender. I mean, the list just goes on. So they need to bring some diversity. Some books maybe like that. Yeah, they did work on the race, but they now need to work on the gender. Like more, like there are all kind of permutations and combinations possible, and they, get out one new book every month. So they need to work closely into those book covers and bring more female book covers, male book covers, male female book covers, male MC and female love interest, and with different colors each time. So every time there's going for a black male and a female MC that they've been doing for past couple of books I'm seeing. They need to do some permutations and combinations with race and gender, and that way each new book cover will be unique, each new trailer will be unique, and people will feel more represented because you silently support something. It's good, you have the thing, but you still need to show what you stand for. I mean, why not you will show it, and it will also be good for your advertisement, because there have been a lot of good words about choices. I think they just need to just put the cherry on top, like, look, we have this, we show this from the we have been supporting this, we've been showing this from very first book. So why not just advertise for it? Why not let people know, look, here's what you will get in choices. We represent everyone. It's for everyone, no matter what color you're from, no matter what background you're from, what gender you are, who you love, you will get everything. It's choices. I think that would be just so much good for the community. And I saw, by the way, when I opened the Instagram post, your comment was on the top. I did see it. Your comment did get a lot of traction, and I think it's really good you're bringing it to attention now. I think it needs to be addressed. It's something people didn't address. It got kind of lost in the race of gender customizable main character or love interest books, diamonds and stuff. It kind of got lost, but they did promise diversity, they did promise representation 1 year ago, and I think it's time to live up to it. Maybe this year is gone, but next year for sure. I mean, I would love to see that because it's getting stale in a lot of ways. And the second thing here is the book covers. I took a long time, but please go on.
Everything you said was perfect. I just wanted to check. Is everything clear with my audio?
Um, okay, just say a sentence, a long sentence.
Sure. Is everything clear?
Yeah, so far it's good. I'll tell you.
Good. Okay. Okay. Cool. Cool. So, I know you said that you kind of cut yourself out at the end because you thought you were saying a lot. No, I do not. You said was very, very good. I couldn't have even said it better myself because why we're bringing this up is because choices Pixelberry should show publicly that they have different types of couples in their gameplay, and right now they're not showing that. But one thing is because the vast majority of the choices there are women
Your voice is
romance
kind of
men.
fading out there. I do understand you, but it's like a little fading in and fading out. But you're understandable. Are you
Okay.
there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm here.
that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, go on, please.
Good. Yeah, I just needed to adjust the setting to make sure it was okay. But so it just seems like right now we're continuing to get the book covers that have the straight couples only, and that's like almost all of the book covers. It seems to be getting stale because it doesn't seem like they're bringing any diversity on the front. At least they're trying to put the female love interest like in the background with the male love interest, and then they have the female main character. But that's not really representation um, for a female couple, which is what choice is really lacking in, and for the male loving males too. So those are the communities that you are not seeing represented publicly, especially with the straight or bisexual men who play the app, who romance the women. For all of those three communities, we're not really seeing any public representation. So that's why you would have to click on the app, download it, actually click on the book to see that you have an option to play what you want. And to me, that I feel like that could hinder the different communities who play choices from actually going to it because they might otherwise not think that they can play as a male character who romances women, or one who romances men, or a woman who romances women. It's not publicly shown, so that's why you would have to actually go deep into the app. But the thing for the women, men, at least they know that they have content in every book because because it's on the book covers and even in the book trailers. So if they could switch that up a little bit, I would really appreciate it because it seems kind of like they're not really. Although I appreciate that they give us the option to kind of portray publicly showing it. And I don't know if that's because they think it's going to sacrifice the amount of people who read the book. Like you said about Foreign Affairs, I don't believe it was that popular either. From what I've been seeing in the community, I thought it was a good book, but I'm wondering if because of the type of cover it was, if it made it a book that wasn't as read that much. And if that's true, then that's kind of I feel kind of sad about that because that shouldn't deter someone from reading it, because everyone had an option to romance the the type of love interest that they wanted, and it was gender choice. So if this was something that deterred some of the fans, I do feel a bit sad about that because that shouldn't be an issue.
100%. Get there. I hope they change it. Like you said, some diversity different because they've been doing the same thing over and over again. So it won't hurt to have a new book cover with a female love interest, with a in a romance book maybe, or in a plot-based book. Maybe they will have an option of crimes of passion because I think it's also going to be a gender locked, no, not gender locked, but single love interest book. So they should try. I mean, I don't know if that's gonna happen, but you should do this. And like I said, it's good that you're bringing this to attention because this needs to be changed. The representation should be there. They do a good job, and it's just about time they just just accept it in book covers, and they just cast it, and they just make it a thing where people can just see the book covers and understand, like, okay, this is where I'm definitely getting a female love interest where I also play as a female, or vice versa with a male. So that would be super awesome, and it will also bring diversity instead of having the same female love interest, male love interest, which we have in almost every single book.
I know it. Like you can just open the app, and that's literally what almost all of the book covers are. It's in the future, I do believe if they do fix that, then they can potentially draw a bigger audience. So, that's my hope now that they fix that and that we'll start to see more diverse book promotions or trailers and covers.
Exactly. Here's to hope. I mean, I would love that because they do care about the diversity. They do put a lot of work in that. They just need to take it to the next level now. That's all they need.
Yes, exactly. Public representation is what the keyword is here because they do always give you a solution. It's just not public. So other than that, you know, I also went through the comments there too, and I was really happy to get support for what I wrote because I feel like maybe people would be annoyed at me because I'm not what most of the player base is. So I was a bit nervous about that, but I'm happy that people also called it out as well. So I feel very thankful that there are so many people in the community that are noticing this and are willing to also comment on it and hope that something changes.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone has a voice and everyone has their own opinion, and it's a free platform, and everyone needs to express it. So, and I'm glad you mentioned it because I think it's a big valid point that no one was going after because they were dealing with other issues, but it was a really valid point. I hope choices do focus on this.
Exactly, yeah. Probably last year, sometime last year, when I was speaking with another fan who also romances the female love interest, we both mentioned how we didn't really see female couple. So I guess this is something that I started thinking about since last year, and then this year when I started to see that every single cover was not like that, I finally started to bring it to attention again because it's just something we're not seeing being done. So, and I'm not saying this that I'm upset with Pixelberry. I love that they give us the option. They just need to have the public support because people might not otherwise know that someone like them can have fun with the book or with this app.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, I would love to see, like I said, that happening. I mean, I have my hopes up, high hopes about this. I mean, I have a suspicion that they can do something like that for crimes of passion, but then other part of me says it's a detective book, so that perhaps we'll go for a female main character and the male love interest because I think there will be slow burn, there will be a bit of forbiddenness too. I think it's leaning toward what they did, the law of attraction. But again, time will only tell on that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think just because of what we're seeing being released and the type of covers and trailers there are, I think that the new book will also still be a female main character and male love interest again. I do think it's most possible because that's what they've been doing most of the time anyway. Um, so yeah, I think it's probably gonna be like that. Maybe if there's more feedback that's sent directly to Pixelberry, maybe they will consider changing that in the future. But as of right now, I don't see Crimes of Passion having diversity. It's probably going to be as the laws of attraction is. And when I talk about this, I'm not thinking that the rest of the community, the rest of the choices community. I love everyone in the choices community. It's just the rest of us. We need that representation. We're here too, and it's time that Pixelberry is brave enough to show that as well.
Yeah, acknowledges us, recognizes us. Exactly. I mean, time will only tell on that, but I'm with you right there. I don't see anything in Crimes of Passion either. It is really sad if that happens because back to back 7 or 8 books, which will have a bit of romance in the book cover, and they'll have the same thing. So I think they change it per se, in and of itself at some point because it does look kind of a pattern, and choices doesn't usually in the same pattern. So I would really like for them to break it. Let's see when.
Yes, exactly. And because it's to their benefit as well to show people that they're not just an app to treat women. It will
Yeah,
benefit them as well because it'll show, especially if they do more covers with male main characters, that would be great. Because just because I see that, it doesn't mean I'm not going to play it. I think that's probably what would have deterred people from playing foreign affairs, which is a little bit sad. If there was some preconception that a character that a player had that may want to make them not read it. I don't know if it's going to happen where the diverse covers may get less views. I'm hoping not, but at the end of the day, the public representation, the public support is really what matters.
but again, like you said before, silent majority can be all the differences because nobody knows how they play, what they think, and which book covers they click on, or what attracts them the most. Only choices can know that because they probably have a tracker like what books are getting good views, what is happening. So if they model the new books after that, then there will then there will be our hopes of diversity in book covers. But we'll see. I'm only telling that.
Yeah, at this point, it's going to be next year that I'm going to be watching for because I don't think there's a lot that's going to be released right now at the moment. We're almost at the end of the year. So next year, I'm curious to see the types of covers and book trailers we're getting.
So with the book covers, one thing they need to change is that basically gender locked male forced love interest. Like we have seen so many of them. They need to really change that. I mean, I would I personally sometimes I like the love interest, but most of the times I don't. I mean, I liked Gabe there. I think he was a bit more into the plot than Asplin was, and also like her type has been done a lot of times, like a sweet female love interest. So they need to change that up, like you mentioned, Astra or you know the highest monarch, Sonia or Imtira. So like them, they can bring different love interest, female love interest to the and different male love interest, like huge from the unexpected areas. Sometimes people from lower position, who are jacks from bloodbound. So they need to do a bit more also a diverse love interest base. They need to build that, and I would say uh, forcing like making a full interest. They need to change. I mean, I also noticed unexpected errors, but personally for me, I'm a bit biased toward John anyway. So, I mean, that was the only book where I didn't have a problem with the, fourth love interest, which was John. I don't think America's Most Eligible Adam was a bit forced, but Adam and John, I accept them. I would say I hoped that I would have given a bit more clarity to all the love interest plot. I mean, yeah, of course you get to choose your love interest, but by just reading it, you can see like the last chapter of the unexpected areas in the dinner table when you're talking about Francis and your main character, you're talking about like how your marriage is a sham, fake, and how you're trying to break the marriage, call the marriage off. Everyone is looking at John. It's John. So, or because I made a certain choice. I don't know. Let me know about that. But I think it was pretty obvious. John is the one who just wants you to fall for. Personally, for me, it was really like John's character. So, and I chose it anyway. So it was. I don't know. I would have loved to see a bit less forcing in terms of who they want us to choose.
Yeah, that's actually a very good topic that I would love to expand on. I don't know if you wanted to do that today or in the future. I would love to go into detail about the issue that they have with the forced male love interests, with the ones that are favored, and interests that are very sidelined. Because it's a very interesting thing to see, and it's different in each book, but in the majority of the time, you see the female love interests on the sideline. And another topic of those books is that the male love interest is the first one.
Your voice is breaking again.
Sure. So basically, what I see is that the constant in these series is that the female love interest is sidelined while the male love interest is forced, and some of them are favored. So maybe we could discuss that in the future um, series if you would like.
Yeah, and also how they need to change the conventional female love interest, like always sweet. It's like they need to add more diversity to the female love interest to the ones which are not gender customizable. Like they're like Manu and others, they're gender customizable love interests, but the ones who are solely female love interests, like Lindsay or Ashley, they should need to add more to the female love interest like Astra or Imtira or Sonia. Hey there.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I just got disconnected. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I think we should be wrapping up anyway. So, but I'm sorry it got disconnected. But yep. So I think the dominant male love interest sometimes and a bit more diversity to the female love interest that we have. That'd be a good topic for future, I guess.
It would be. I would love to expand on that because we could probably talk about a lot of different factors in this. The fact that they make the male love interest forced or favored, and when they have the male love interest, they make them a certain type. They don't have diversity in the male love interest themselves either. Only surface wise, like the customizable part. Like they let you choose the race, but they don't really have a male love interest that's unconventional. So that's maybe something they can consider in the future.
Yeah.
And then they also should could possibly consider changing the type of female love interest that they have, because they tend to have women that are on the feminine side who are gender conforming, and we don't see any butch women, for example. Like there's literally not many of them on the app. There's only like literally a handful of them. So I do hope that maybe we can see some changes in the type of the way that the love interest presents themselves, because honestly, when it comes to the male and female love interest, it's kind of the same type of person who's overly attractive, has a very good body, and is considered normal, or not normal. I'm not saying it in a bad way, but like
I know what you mean.
as,
Like conventional,
yeah, conventional for
mainstream.
the
Yeah, I know
yeah.
mainstream. Like
So
what is movies? Yeah, I know.
yeah, so stuff like that, I think we could really go into detail about, and the fact about the dynamic between the books that have multiple love interests and what's going on, and the screen time that the different love interests are getting, and how it tends to be that the female love interest gets the least time, least screen time, and then you have the male love interest who gets the most screen time. And sometimes there's forced interactions. And then in addition to that, with the other male love interest, there's usually always more than one in every book.
Definitely.
Not in every, yeah, in almost all the books. And there's one of the male love interests that are kind of sidelined, but they're not even sidelined as much as the female love interest.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see, and I would love to expand on that in another episode with you, because there's a lot to say about that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we originally said we'll be talking about this topics this week, and with our top villains, or the top antagonists, and top books and stuff. We didn't even get into that. We covered at first the YouTube issues, then the erotica surge in choices, then we talked about the new VIB book, Surrender, then we went into the covers, and then the time, this is this has never happened. Like I usually had, like, with the guests we had, we usually covered the times. Like we usually covered the topic within one time, 1 day's time, or at least in 2 days time. But with you, it seems to be like, expanding. And that perspective to the table. So I gotta say, like, you reach choices, but you observe those in like choices in a good way, like really deeply. So your observation is really good, and also valid points you bring, like the one with the covers. I'm really glad you started that. Something like no one really, touched on, or even they didn't really express their concerns. So that was a really good one. So it's always pleasurable and fun to, and it's informative, and really, at times it's really funny to talk with you about choices like the Gordon Ramsay one. So yeah, I would love to pick it up from here where we're leaving. It would be fun.
Yeah, me too. I really, really enjoyed this today. I think it's crazy because I have so much to say about, like, for example, I get up this morning and I think that I'm probably going to talk like a normal amount, and then nope, I end up talking a lot. But it just shows you that there's so much in choices. But just to recap, for next time, you mentioned you wanted to discuss the top villains, the top books, and that we're going to be discussing the gender non-conforming
Yeah.
versus conventional male and female love interest, and even main characters too. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna talk about that a little bit, and then I also plan to talk about how in certain books there's a sidelined love interest, and then there's a forced one. There's also favored and a second sidelined one. You
Yeah.
know, there's a lot of different combinations that I'm seeing in these books. So that would be something that's really interesting to go back to for next time.
Definitely. And of course, we I would be finishing that by next time. The unexpected heiress. So I would love to share my insight with you. Though I still think Vincent is not the only one, but last chapter's left. I would love to hear your thoughts on the finale, and I would like to share my opinion. But I think I have a sneaking suspicion that I would be too like too much stunned by it, that I would be like bubbling perhaps. But we'll see.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to talk about that with you. I'm just really wondering how you're going to feel about it. I'm not going to tell you anything. I don't want to spoil anything for you, but it is a very interesting ending. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm
It's
excited.
that book. I love The Unexpected Heiress. That is a quality story. So I would love to add that to the topic of discussion for next time. And I'm assuming probably around that time we might be done with the series, so it's perfect to talk about at
Yeah,
that
we'll,
moment.
we'll be done. We'll be done. Yeah. That'd be fun. I'm just excited to read the finale of The Unexpected Heroes next week. I mean, I can't wait. Chapter 16. That'll be super fun.
I know, like even though I read the book like months ago, I it helps to read it again because it helps me to see things that I missed, and I genuinely
Exactly.
feel like it's a new experience again for some
Oh
reason
yeah.
because the book is it's that good.
Yeah, I know that happened with me in Wales. Like the first time I read, I skipped some important parts, but when I reread it, after knowing the facts, I was like, oh yeah, here, there was a clue. Oh right, So I like you said, I felt like I'm reading a book from a new perspective, from a new point of view. So I totally get what you mean. It's super fun. It's super fun.
Yeah, I know, and because the Unexpected Heiress is so exceptional in the story quality, so now that I'm doing a replay, I'm also still really excited for the finale. I'm genuinely actually looking forward to it, and again, I'm also looking forward to our discussion about it in the future because that series it's very interesting at the end. That's the only thing I'm gonna say.
I know what you mean. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for it. People like on my channel, they were also excited with the unexpected errors, and someone said like do a comparison with fails after this, like like which one, like where, like which one had the twist in what chapter and how the books progress, because these two books are, I can read these two books for like again and again. I feel like it every time I read, I get a new perspective, like you said.
Yeah, and even in yeah, actually, we can even discuss that too. Books that give you a different perspective when you reread them. That would be a pretty interesting topic. So far, yeah, I've basically taken notes of the topics that we're gonna have for next time. But the one that you're saying, it looks like you want to even expand on the unexpected errors by comparing the villain characters, like
Oh yeah,
Vince from
definitely. Yeah.
yeah, from America's Next,
Well,
or not. I got that title name wrong because I'm actually doing a playthrough right now of America's Most Eligible.
that's the
So
best
I'm
part.
gonna be, yeah, I'm gonna be going through that, and then hopefully I'll have enough context to be able to talk about it too.
Sure, I would love that. Yeah, I mean, next week is fully packed, I'll be excited to talk about all those things, and on top of that, the unexpected errors. I'm still not sure that we'll be able to cover all those things next week, but well, I would love to talk about all the topics because they're like super intriguing for me at the moment.
Yeah, I know, me too. This is stuff that I'm wondering about a lot. So it's just wonderful to have the opportunity to talk about that on the Choices podcast. I love it. I think that's a wonderful thing. And like I even mentioned to my friends and everyone through social media and the Choices community, it feels like you can speak very freely on your podcast because it's a very chill vibe. And that's something that I really do appreciate.
Yeah, thank you. And it's always so glad to have you here in this talk. It feels like we didn't know each other before, but it just feels like you're a long. It's just like a family, I would talk. It's just so comfortable. Thank you for like making these discussions fun, and Saturday is so much fun. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And I do appreciate that you gave me this opportunity as well. And I know what you mean about that. It feels like you're part of my Choices family.
Yeah.
Like I have my other Choices friends as well that I speak to on a daily basis. Even you. The Choices family is also important to me in my life because you guys have a lot to say that is wonderful, great perspectives. You could learn so much from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the community. I love the fandom. I love the family. All of them. They're super nice personalities. They can. It's a good. It's just like a family. You're absolutely right. Okay, so I guess that's it. And again, I love what you do on your channel, and I hope come Monday, you're gonna upload again. So I can't wait to see you upload these books and Expected Heiress and Wake the Dead and others. And I'll see you then. And thank you for taking some time from your morning and coming here. And just I know your fuel has only been coffee, so I hope like you're gonna have a proper breakfast now. Thanks for joining, and just stay safe, take care, and have an awesome day. Have a blast of a weekend, and I'll see you next week. And thanks.
Thank you. See you next time.
See you next time. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.